All right, the encoders are up and running. Go.
All right. We have not a lot to talk about, but we do. We have so much to talk about, but not a lot to talk about. Well, okay, a lot to talk about, but not a lot of fanfare. So we're going to get into all of this. WrestleMania Day 2 happened again, no crowd, but it had some of the most regarded matches for the nights of WrestleMania, as well as some of the most highly expected matches, including the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match, the last man standing match between Edge and Randy Orton, and what was the Firefly Funhouse match going to be after what we saw in the Boneyard match night 1. Then there was the Raw after WrestleMania. WWE went back to live television and will continue live television. Plus, they finally released a tag team that people have thought they have been underutilizing forever. We're going to get into all of that and more this week as we
break the ring down.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list. This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The Machine Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
When you're listening...
And you're listening to...
You listen to Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Bring it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are paying attention to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
Nick the Dick.
And from my phone, it came.
All right, first, Nick.
Nick.
Now, Smitty, I have to tell you this.
I was looking at strong hand, but I'm Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, current ring crew champion, Mikey himself. How did the midget stripper find us at our house? Social distancing. Fucking midget strippers. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as you have been paying attention to wrestling, there are still no crowds. There is still a huge pandemic going on across the entire United States, the entire world. We have a lot to get into because of this. It is a much more... What's going on over there, Smitty?
So shouldn't somebody's on a phone call walking past me?
Oh, okay. You can mute yourself so no one else hears all that sometimes, you know. Just to give you a heads up, brother. Just give you a heads up. But like I said, we're getting into
I'm setting my way right now.
Yeah, just ruin the show. That's fine.
He's gone.
All right. So let's get into all this. Jesus fucking Christ. The professionalism on your end is amazing sometimes, Smitty. Let's get into some stuff, man. First off, WrestleMania Night 2. It kicked off with a pre-show match. Liv Morgan defeating Natalya. Then it came out. Charlotte Flair became the brand new NXT Women's Champion by making Rhea Ripley tap. Bobby Lashley lost to Aleister Black. Otis defeated Dolph Ziggler in what would prove to be one of the best moments, because right after that, after Mandy came out and gave him a little bit of help, he held her in his arms like a baby, and then he kissed her like a baby. Oh, yeah. After that was the last man standing match between Edge and Randy Orton, where Edge stood on top after catching Edge in a submission and then hitting him with a one-man concerto, putting him down for the 10 count. The Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, defended their titles against Angel Garza and Austin Theory. The SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley, defended against four other women, and she once again remained on top of the SmackDown Women's division by retaining her SmackDown Women's Championship. The Firefly Funhouse matches right after that, and The Fiend Bray Wyatt definitely defeated John Cena in one of the craziest type of matches that I think anybody has ever seen, and we'll definitely get into that. And then in the main event, the coup de grace, Brock Lesnar, after hitting 4 F5s and then being hit with hit 3 F5s, caught 4 Claymores, and gave out 3 German suplexes. He lost his WWE Heavyweight Championship to the Scottish Psychopath, Drew McIntyre. Nick, we're going to start off with
Claymore country.
Nick, we're going to start off with you. How did you feel about WrestleMania Night 2 compared to Night 1, and what really stood out to you?
Well, Night 2, I go back and forth whether or not I thought it was the better of the 2 nights. It had some highs, had some lows. The one high for me, as I'm getting a phone call, the one high for me, honestly, and I went back and I watched it again, the Firefly Funhouse match was one of the high points, honestly. I mean, it was super interesting. Like, I didn't expect that. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm getting a phone call again. But that's okay as long as you guys can still see me.
Yeah, no, we can't, but that's fine.
Anyway, yeah. I wasn't a fan of the outcome of the Bayley match with her retaining the title. Not only because I picked Lacey Evans on my scorecard, but I'm tired of Bayley. There I am. And then the Edge and Randy Orton match, honestly, that was probably one of the lows for me. I'd hate to say it, and I'm really disappointed that I have to even say that. But I could dive into it more. But
no, we'll definitely go into the matches in a minute.
Yeah.
Smitty, how does it compare? Night 2 compare for you to Night 1, and give me one of your high and your low.
I think for like Night 2 is just on par with Night 1. I felt the same way I felt about Night 1 or 2 as I felt about Night 1. One of my high pretty much was probably the Otis match, Otis Ziggler. That's one of the things I was most interested in going into this whole WrestleMania, and I feel like it didn't disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
My low actually was almost like it was 2 things that were like pretty much like equally low for me. But if I had to pick one, it would have to be probably the Last Man Standing. The Last Man Standing match. I felt like it went a little bit too long.
Okay.
And it wasn't like with the 2 guys that they had in there, and that was the thing that you had one of the best stories, but the payoff didn't feel like it was worth it.
I did enjoy Mandy and or Otis and Ziggler match too with that.
You know, it's crazy to think about that. I had said last Joe's trying to log in, and he asked what the meeting password is. There shouldn't be any. So yeah, I was talking about last week how my expectations were so high for the match of Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn, and how it seemed to have let me down the most. And then we were talking about what was going to be the match that I had most expectations for on for Night 2, and that was Edge and Randy Orton. So the fact that seems to have let a lot of people down the most is crazy to me, because it's the only thing, excuse me, that people were really looking forward to. I mean, as far as the expectations of a high, great quality match for WrestleMania Night 2. And I agree with that. That was my low. It wasn't my low because the match let me down. it just seemed like the match went on forever.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit too it became a lot more or less, what are you using to keep this person down, to I'm going to keep dragging this person, throw him into something, and then hit him with a punch or hit him with a kick, and then hopefully he is down. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a lot of high impact. To me, certain moments, high impact stuff, Jesus Christ, that would keep people low. You know what I'm saying? Put someone down for a 10 count, which is what you were trying to do. He is totally going to do a bong rip right now with that dance.
Yes.
Everybody, welcome Z to the show. Z, so what we're talking about is WrestleMania Night 2. Do you think it is better than WrestleMania Night 1? If not, why? And then what is your high and your low? And we're going to go into the talking about the matches as we go on.
You don't cough, you don't get off.
Something like that.
Whoa.
Okay, so WrestleMania nights 1 and 2 kind of like intertwine at this point, because I was watching SmackDown and I forgot one of the matches that happened. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. I mean, I don't remember it. I can't even think of the two competitors in the match right now. So that was probably my low.
Well, okay, so Liv Morgan and Natalya were the pre-show. Charlotte Flair and Rhea, Alistair and Bobby, Otis and Dolph, Edge and Randy, Street Profits versus Angel Garza, Austin Theory, the women's championship match, Bayley, Sasha, Naomi, Lacey, and Tamina.
Okay.
Firefly Funhouse, and then Drew and Brock.
Okay, so maybe it was night 1 that I'm thinking of, because there was one. It wasn't a main match. It was a mid-card match. But anyways, my low would have to be the Edge and Randy Orton's, on the sole fact that the match took forever. And I think that was a lot of people's problems with it, was the fact that it took forever. It kind of just dragged on, like you were saying. Beyond that, I mean, the finish of that match was really good. But beyond that, they could have quickened everything up. And as far as my high, it was definitely the Firefly Funhouse. It was different. We haven't seen anything like that on the screen, and it was really well produced. It's almost what Matt Hardy's Woken gimmick should have been when they did the compound match, him and Bray.
Right.
That's how that should have been. But you live and you learn.
Right. So let's talk about what seemed to be all of our highs, being the Firefly Funhouse match. Smitty, I'll start off with. Jeez, I'm sorry, guys.
We got the corona again.
No, I just woke up, so obviously not cleaning out my mouth and everything like that. Swallowing all that shit last night. What's up? Smitty.
Yo.
The Firefly. Hey,
speaking of swallowing all that shit.
Right. That's what I was about to do after asking this question. Firefly Funhouse. That was your high?
No.
Okay. What was you? I don't remember what you said now, because I think Z was coming in. Oh, it's Mandy. Yeah. The Firefly Funhouse. Tell me what you did like about that and what you didn't like about it.
Like I said, what I liked about the Firefly Funhouse match is it brought a whole just pretty much the whole thing. When I said the whole cinematic match becoming the thing, thanks to guys like Matt Hardy, it just brought it was one of those things, and it was really well put together. And I agree with Z. It was just the way this is what they should have did with Matt Hardy's character when he was there. So I like the cinematic. The fact that it was one of those cinematic matches.
All right, and Nick, what would your?
It was highly entertaining. Me and Shannon were watching it. I thought if we watched this on weed, it would be way better.
Nick, what were your thoughts on the match?
You ever seen the Firefly Funhouse on weed?
Weed.
I did.
And how much better was it, Z?
It was about the same. It was good either way.
Just
Now,
So-
if you want to take some acid and watch it, whole different story. All right, Nick, back to you.
My low for the match was I would have appreciated a little more wrestling other than the last 30 seconds of the match. The high for me in that match, it kind of came full circle from what happened at WrestleMania to, everything in between. I think it was funny to see John Cena as a member of the NWO. There was just a lot going on there,
Right. Z, what were your what were you loving so much about it?
Okay, so when Matt Hardy originally did his broken gimmick in TNA, they had that pool of reincarnation, I think he called it. And like Shannon Moore fell into it, and then he came back as 3 count and stuff like that. This had shades of that as far as going through all of John Cena's gimmicks.
Ruthless aggression.
Well, I like the progression from Ruthless Aggression on until they got to WrestleMania, and then they just threw in the NWO thing for shits and giggles. But it was cool to see, and it would have been really fitting had this been like John Cena's retirement match, because you kind of got like a whole review of his career in a sense.
Right.
I really liked the production of the match. Now that like Nick said, there wasn't very much wrestling, but I did like the production of the match and how they put it all together, and the little things that they would poke fun at, and that Cena was completely on board with like the creative and like, yeah, we can do that, So, the production was probably the best part of the match itself.
So Joe's here now. Hey, Joe.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. So let's get into what we're talking about right now is WrestleMania Night 2. How it compared to WrestleMania Night 1. What was your high and what was your low? Go ahead and tell it to the people about it, brother.
You mean my high and low within the Firefly Funhouse match, or just period within Night 2?
With Night 2.
As much as I hated the Boneyard match from the previous night, I actually liked the Firefly Funhouse match. I just thought it was more well done, so I'll probably give that my high. I kind of liked the whole match up until the ending. I'll get into that later. My low is probably going to be Randy Orton and Edge, just because I was looking forward to that very, very much. The return of Edge. Not that I was the biggest Edge fan before he left, but it's always exciting to see a good comeback like that. But I just thought the match was kind of disappointing for as much good build-up that it had, and it was way too long. Way too long. It was like, what was it, like almost 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Almost reached Iron Man heights.
What's that?
It almost reached Iron Man heights.
Yeah, the last 10 or 15 minutes, I was just like, all right, like I was like tapping the pencil, like wrap this shit up, B. So yeah, that was probably my highs and lows.
Yeah, I really can't argue that at all. That's now let me ask you guys a question, and Z, I'll start with you. The last man standing match, which is obviously a big disappointment to a lot of people. Do you think that could have been saved if there was an actual crowd in this?
Yeah, but I still think it would have been a little too long.
I agree with that.
I mean, there were so many moves like you had mentioned earlier, Mikey, that were going to clearly put you down for a 10 count. Like Edge got hit with 3 RKOs. Most people don't get up from 1.
Right.
Storyline wise. It's all right. But I mean, the match went on for almost 45 minutes, and they probably could have cut it down to a half an hour and not really cut anything out. Just cut out the dragging of, what took 10 minutes to get them back to the bus or up on the bus or, shit like that. They probably could have quickened that up. But I mean, a little bit, it might have been saved with the crowd, but also it might have also been killed with the crowd because people would have got bored after the first half hour, and that last 15 minutes could have been even worse. So
right.
You never know.
According to the times that they put up on the results, that match lasted 36 minutes and 35 seconds. Nick,
Which
how are
felt
you?
like an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
It did feel just really long. Nick, do you think that last man standing match could have been saved with crowd interaction?
I don't think it would have felt like as long as it did. I mean, for us, it seems like the majority of us have said it felt like 45 minutes, closer to an hour. But when you're telling me that the real time was more like 35 minutes, if it would have been in front of a live crowd, I feel like we may not be sitting here talking about how it felt that long.
Right.
But yeah, so I think it would have helped a little bit. And then, there might not have been so many times where I felt like there was just nothing happening. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I think the crowd would have saved it. Not a lot, but it would have helped a little.
Joe, are you in that same realm? Like, you think that something could have been saved? It could have been saved by a crowd?
Yeah, I do. When we were watching it together, on Zoom at the Zoom party, someone had mentioned about someone else debuting or coming out, like, making their first appearance or whatever in WrestleMania in front of no crowd, and how disappointing that must be. And I made the remark that it's got to be just as disappointing for Edge, who had been just clamoring to come back for 9 years, now made a great comeback at the Rumble to lead into Mania, just dying to get that Mania response after he hasn't had it for almost a decade, and that gets taken away from him. I think that immediately sullies the match.
Z, are you okay over there? Do you need to hit mute so everyone else can still pay attention to what's going on here?
Oh, can you hear all that?
Yeah, bro.
Ed, how do I hit mute?
It's the mute button.
Yeah. Jeez.
Got
it. All right, Joe.
Well, Mike can mute you too, like you did me at one point.
You said what?
As a co-host, I believe you can mute people as well.
I can't mute anybody. This is the podcast Detroit one, not mine.
But I think they have.
I was made a co-host. I can mute people now. Fuck you guys.
Well, then why didn't you mute me?
I just got the power. I got the power. All right. So anyway, yeah. Sorry about that, Joe. Cutting you off and everything like that.
Oh, no worries.
So yeah. You're
pretty much got my point in. It would have been awesome to see just the entrance for Edge with the crowd, after that much time gone. I think right there, like, if he would have got a giant pop if there was a crowd, that would have set the tone for the match right off the bat, which I think would have just brought the level of excitement up right from the beginning, and it probably would have made it into a better match.
I think a crowd would have changed it because it would have it would have extended what they could have done in the last man standing match. Plus, they would have been around more people. And like I said, my major problem with this match, outside of how long it was, is I don't think the length. I think it still could have been a 36-minute match, but it was just getting. There was a lot of downtime in it, right? Like, where people are just laying down doing counts and stuff, which is fine. But it wasn't after a lot of major type of moves, right? Like, there was that when Edge hit Randy Orton hit that DDT when they were on the truck bed, right? Edge is down for whatever the fuck he's down for. I can't remember. The Edge did a major when Edge went off the top and he came through the table, right? Randy was up before Edge was. In that 10 count frame, and it's like, wait, why is the guy who took the move getting up quicker than the guy who gave the move? And there were just things like that just threw you off. That
because Edge is old,
right? Well, it doesn't matter.
Ring rust there,
but it shouldn't matter. Randy got up at like a 7 count. Randy should be the ring general right there to know that this guy gave me the move. get up when he gets up rather than get up and then him having, the 8 count or the 9 count to get up after giving them. It was something that was definitely a Randy mistake, not an Edge mistake, right?
Now, see, that would have been something that you probably would have felt different about with the crowd, because in those last 2 seconds, the crowd would have got hyped for Edge to get up. But
right, exactly.
So now you don't have a crowd, so it kind of kills it, and you're like, oh, well, that was dumb.
Exactly. And so that's why I felt like the addition of the crowd would have brought in a lot more emotion to something that eventually just got fucking boring to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you know how we always say that wrestling's more about like moments than it is like matches. It's real tough to have a WrestleMania moment without a crowd in a situation like that when there's a big name with a big comeback,
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, even look at, the end of Drew and Brock. And, Drew probably would have got a huge pop, but.
Yeah, and that was just like nothing, like, match. Yeah, that was a match, all right.
Now, I understand they got to go through the motions, but it's weird to me that they all climb the turnbuckle and, like, show the belt for no one to pop at all.
Yeah, I know. It's awkward for sure.
Well, you still have to play like there is an audience, because there is. While there might not be anyone there, seeing Drew climb that turnbuckle and hold that belt, at home you're looking at it and go, that looks pretty fucking sweet, because of the angle that they're cutting the camera. So, his stuff, Brock is just dead behind him. You look at it as far as a visual standpoint, you're like, that's pretty cool. That's a great photo. At least in the time that follows this, when they do the cuts of the WrestleMania, it's going to look good rather than you sitting there going, man, there is no crowd here and this just seems off. Because let's be very honest, it was off for a few of those matches without a crowd.
Oh yeah,
Rhea Charlotte sounds like porn.
So does women's tennis.
I was just about to say that.
Let's get into that. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, some people were like, had the complaints about Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley just for the fact that they said without a crowd, you could just hear the noise going, but no one was saying that with the guys, I guess, because, guys don't incite that type of feeling when they're going at it. But there was even someone who said that they had to turn their TV down because people thought that they were watching porn. It's like, have you guys never watched women's tennis? Because women's tennis with sound is it is like this is kind of worse because it just sounds like someone's moaning before they get pounded because just what's going on
it's
here?
It's like
geriatric porn.
What? Can geriatrics even play tennis?
No, he said it's like geriatric porn. I
Okay.
guess. Yeah, we don't know. Like, I guess there's a delay in the ball slapping.
No, I'm just thinking like what one of those dick machines that George Clooney made for his wife the one time. Like,
I'm sorry. Wait, what? George Clooney made one of those for his wife?
Burn after reading. In the basement, he built one, and it's just literally like you sit on it, the dick swings.
That's fun. That's good job, George Clooney. Way to know what you can't provide. So obviously the crowd, you hear a lot more of what's going on inside the ring. A lot of that major complaint was for Rhea and Charlotte. But let's talk Rhea and Charlotte. There's a lot of people that are angry Rhea lost.
She had to lose.
I wish she would have won because I would have thought that would have been an amazing WrestleMania moment.
She had to lose.
No, look, I get why she lost. I don't feel that the outcome was bad. I thought the match was really good. I thought the match made Rhea Ripley look really strong. It made her look like a fucking badass. The way she was taking all of that stuff, all of that punishment. It was a great old school, let's tell a story of me working this limb and how strong you're going to look coming out of this. I get it. I get everything about that. I'm not arguing anything with that at all. Even, the end result of it. But there are people who just feel like this was fucking horrible because she lost that match. Joe, I'll start with you because I'm not one of those people. Explain in your words why you feel she had to lose this match.
Her visa expired. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, her work visa expired and she can't make it back here with all this pandemic stuff.
That I did not know.
See, I
Yeah,
read somewhere that she posted on Instagram that wasn't true.
That was what? Not true?
Yeah, I read that she had posted a picture of herself on Instagram and it was her like doing like this, and it wasn't true.
See, I read an article saying that her work visa expired and that she's running into complications getting it renewed because of the coronavirus and all that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They had to take the title off her.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
They kind of just like Jordan Devlin's also in that kind of situation.
Both
Cruiserweight Championship.
Is that why they took it? Is that why they're doing that tournament to crown a new one? Just to kind of compete with AEW?
It's an interim. It's a term crown an interim champion until all this is over.
So
so we're gonna have like a Shawn and fucking Razor thing with 2 championship belts when this thing's all over.
Probably because they're calling him the interim champion. They're not saying that they're the new cruiserweight champion. What Rhea Ripley posted on Instagram was "Yo Wrestling World still in America," which in a video of her at her house in America in Florida. So it doesn't look like that is the case. So finding out that it's not her work visa, Joe, do you still feel she had to lose?
Either way, the outcome, it was the psychologically best wrestled match on the card. I mean, Charlotte worked the leg the whole match. I mean, it's rare you see that anymore.
Right.
It was just like it was previously mentioned. It was a good, old school, a wrestlers match.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick, so then we'll go to you then. What was the things that stuck out to you about Rhea and Charlotte?
Well, like Joe said, Charlotte working that leg the whole match, and Rhea took some pretty stiff shots to the leg. Like there was one where she was on the rope, and I think Charlotte may have kicked her leg out or something. And I was like,
it looked like a pretty bad bend.
Yeah, and so the fact that she played that the whole match, I thought that was great. And there were times when, you could hear them moaning and groaning the whole time, but there were times that the wrestling itself, I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that they were groaning. It didn't bother me, so.
Smitty, what were some of the highlights of Rhea and Charlotte for you?
The ring gear.
What?
Ring gear. I was really interested inside the ring gear.
Because of Vegeta?
Yeah.
That's what stuck out to you. Okay.
Okay.
Look,
Well, of course,
leave me alone.
fucking
Like,
Smitty.
You don't. So you do not shit on my hobbies.
Okay.
I don't shit on your hobbies. I too like the DBZ ring gear, but there was so much more about that match that if you just looked at the ring gear, you're kind of an idiot.
I was all right with the match. It's with everything except the ending. Like, if this whole Rhea Ripley's visa thing is not true, I feel like the wrong person won that match.
No, you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. She had to lose the match. She's only 23 years old, and you can't put her on the mountaintop just yet. Best thing you had all last year was Rhea Ripley chasing. So now she loses this match and has to tap out. The only thing I didn't like about the match is the fact that she had to tap out. They should have had her pass out or something to make her look a little bit stronger. Now she spends the next year chasing Charlotte and the NXT championship, and you can do all that, and then you don't take away any of these other competitors that she will have in the future. If you give it all to her right now, if she does everything right now, you have nothing for her to do going forward.
But which is kind of she hasn't even went through everybody in NXT, so.
But she doesn't have to. That's kind of the point. Is she kind of already did by the way she was booked in general. So none of that matters.
And at the same time there, Smitty, you got to remember that she was holding a championship that Charlotte Flair wanted to go after. Charlotte Flair made the choice. Charlotte Flair, who us and a lot of people in the wrestling industry and people and the fans as well look at Charlotte Flair as the tip of the mountaintop. She is one of the most athletic, all-around gifted athlete, man or woman, in that company. So the fact that Charlotte Flair chose her, it already skyrocketed her up into the upper echelon of it. Then it was for that title that was the only NXT title defended at WrestleMania, obviously putting that title on par with the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship. So what it did is, and then I'm okay with her tapping. And I'm okay with her tapping because of the old school mentality that was in that match. I get what you're saying, but hold on, let me finish. So, like when Brock Lesnar made Finn Balor tap, we were all livid about that. Finn didn't have a limb work. It was just him getting beat up for 3 minutes and then got put in a Kimura, I think, for the second time, maybe even the first, and then he tapped. And it made him look weak. Charlotte Flair beat the absolute living shit out of Rhea Ripley's leg the entire match. Rhea sold the fuck out of it. So the fact that she tapped to it, I'm okay with. Would it have been cooler to see a pass out? Sure. But I get that tap, and I don't think that made her look weaker than passing out. So,
and the best way to explain.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying the best way to explain this to Smitty is Charlotte Flair is Austin, and Rhea Ripley is The Rock. It's going to be a couple. They're going to meet a couple times before Rhea finally goes over. It's just the way it should work.
Joe.
Yeah. Now that we know that it wasn't a visa issue, I think I'm still okay with who won. Pretty much just same reasons as what Z already said. And yeah, it would have been nice to see her maybe pass out instead of tap out, but that doesn't kill the match.
I feel like it was a shot against the whole NXT women's division at that point.
No.
Bringing Charlotte back over, like, you're putting the time on Charlotte and then bring her back over to NXT. What does that do to that? What's up for that women's division, really?
It steps it up. It brings it up a whole nother tier because the person needs to beat her needs to beat Charlotte Flair to become the champion.
Isn't Charlotte going to be wrestling Io Shirai now?
Yep, exactly.
After this week's past week's NXT.
Exactly.
Yep.
But Io's a heel too.
That should elevate that division right there. Both those.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Io Shirai is one of the most underrated women's wrestlers in the world.
Smitty,
go ahead and get your point across. I don't think that's going to happen immediately because Io's a heel as well.
So? Charlotte's not a heel.
Charlotte's a heel.
Charlotte Flair is not a heel. Charlotte Flair is the same type of wrestler that she's always been since she tried to be the face against Becky. She's not a heel anymore. Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair. She can take on anybody and wrestle the style. She can get cheered or she can get booed. And it's very possible that you get Io Shirai, who is in the same kind of tweener boat, cheered during this match against Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Io Shirai could play the face role as being the NXT representative against the outsider.
So people really need to stop. I agree that back in the day there was the good guy, bad guy in every match. It's not that way anymore. And it's kind of like been phased out when you would start seeing face versus face, like Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17. Until the end of that, it was face versus face. Right? There are still top-tier matches that can be had without it being good guy, bad guy. However, for elongated storylines, you need to cheer one person and boo another. Currently, Charlotte Flair isn't going into an elongated storyline with anybody. She's going to be going into a couple matches that are going to last a long time. And, the build is going to last like a month and a half because of whatever the shit is going on in the COVID-19 world of wrestling. And then she's going to move on and still make these people look strong, look like they're badass wrestlers, because you don't look at Rhea Ripley and go, wow, Charlotte just buried her. No, Charlotte made her a fucking star. And then
I've seen a lot of matches in WWE that were intentional burials, and that was not one of them.
No, not at all. And I don't think any match that Charlotte Flair goes into with this NXT championship, because it's Triple H's mind with the NXT championship. It's not Vince's mind. It's going to look good and make the other person look good the entire time.
Yeah, I actually think it's the exact opposite of what Smitty said. I think Charlotte representing the NXT brand and carrying that title for a minute elevates their division.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it brings it more eyes on it and to a higher platform.
So now
So Smitty's wrong again.
Always.
I mean, it's all just opinion. No one's really wrong or right, you know.
No, he's totally wrong.
But yeah, I mean, he's wrong. Just kidding, Smitty.
No, you're not.
He doesn't
Let's
seem
talk
very amused.
He's like drunk right now. Let's talk about a match that was more about the storyline that was built around it leading up into this, and that was Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. Smitty, this was something that you were a fan of. It was the finishing moment was your high for WrestleMania Night 2. Talk about why it was built so big for you.
So the match actually wasn't bad either. So, I like those stories that actually I love wrestling when it has a story leading into the match and the match just tells a story as well. And like the payoff was like everything that led up to it, the payoff, it just seemed right and it was entertaining. And I felt like everything just kind of fell into place the way it should have. All the build up to the match.
All right, Nick.
It was a good way to highlight Otis as a singles competitor.
Yeah, I would agree. We've been seeing on SmackDown for a little while those little glitches with like the blue envelope and just kind of wondering what that was all about. And then the SmackDown before Mania, it all kind of came to a head, and you see that Sonya was behind everything along with Dolph, and they were going behind Mandy's back. And I think that really took me for a loop. I'm just saying, all of a sudden I was like, okay, now I see, what really happened. And then having it all kind of pay off at the end with, Otis and Mandy. And like Smitty said, the match was okay to watch. It wasn't, it wasn't terrible or anything. And, the fact that they made out and whatever, that was cool, man. I really enjoyed it. And, I like the whole underdog thing. You know what I mean? Like, this homely dude Otis who, typically you wouldn't see getting with a girl like Mandy, and then all of a sudden, he comes out on top of everything. So
why not? Maybe Mandy's crazy and nobody else wants to put up with her.
Sure.
Go ahead, you fat motherfucker.
You can tell Z's married.
So you want to hear the petty thing I did this morning? This is great.
Yeah, go ahead, put it up there. I'm gonna go grab a beer while you're talking.
All right, so I had to take a morning shit. That's why I was late to the meeting. And my wife never replaces the toilet paper roll. So just to spite her, I wiped my ass with paper towels. So now she has to go get it the next time she uses the bathroom.
My God, man. that is some raw ass shit, literally.
Yeah.
You asshole. I love you. So, Joe, we've missed your opinion on the show, and we're so happy to have you. Otis and Ziggler, how did you feel about it?
I didn't watch a lot of the build. I saw like highlights of it. I knew what was going on. I read about it, whatever I didn't see. I mean, it was entertaining. It was your classic like rom-com storybook ending. The underdog guy, the good guy gets the girl. Shit that would never happen in real life, right? So I mean, it had.
But here's the thing.
It had the perfect ending for the. What's that?
They're dating in real life.
They're dating in real life.
Are they really? That's awesome.
Go ahead, you fat motherfucker.
It had the perfect ending for the build. I mean, for WWE style soap opera storylines, it
And they
had the
brought-
payoff that everybody wanted. So
And they brought back GTV for this.
I give them a thumbs up on that one, actually.
And that's the thing. Like, look, WWE will put on wrestling classics like Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. A great, hardcore, well-told, inside the ropes, story-built match. And then at the same time, they're going to give you something just like it was put out, soap opera-esque, rom-com style, guy finally gets the girl type of build that's just about the entertainment. But feel-good entertainment with proper ending. I'm not saying they do this right the majority of the time. I'm not saying they do it right.
This one they
50% of
did
the
right.
time. Yeah, but
the
when
best
they do
part
it right,
about
it is really good.
the
Go ahead,
best part about this storyline is they actually gave it time to develop, so it would be really good. It's been going on since before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, they don't really do that anymore either, man.
Right. So, but when you give a storyline time to develop, the payoff is always going to be better.
Which I have to admit, this is, I want to say, probably one of the best mid-card storylines they have built and ran with in a very long time. They've done some great stuff with the main event, but back when wrestling, when we talk about the golden age of wrestling for us, being Attitude, Ruthless Aggression era, the mid-card was built really highly around things, and it had great outcomes and great build, which then carried to make you care more about that mid-card person when they finally made it to the main event. And that's something that they did really well here. And props to Dolph Ziggler, props to Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, and Otis. And let's not forget Tucker in all of this, because that last match on SmackDown before WrestleMania where Tucker went with Ziggler, he sold his ass off and then again did it as well on the SmackDown following.
Yeah, and storyline got 5 people, noticeable attention, which is the best part about the whole thing. It's not just 2 people. Like, there's a whole bunch that got brought to the spotlight because of this angle.
And hopefully with this, look, nobody is pretending that Mandy Rose is a savant in the ring, okay? But
she's not? You mean she's not?
Hopefully her chemistry with Sonya Deville, when this finally culminates with them 2 fighting each other, hopefully that chemistry comes out to where it gives us a good match to watch. Not a great clinic, but a good match to watch where we're not going, geez, why is she doing that move?
If it's anything like their TikTok dance videos, it'll be all right.
I agree. Their TikTok dance videos.
They're very in sync on those. I don't know how much they practice, but when they actually hit record, they do well.
Well, because loneliness is killing them. According to Britney Spears. Okay, last match I want to talk about is something that they have been doing and building and constantly going with, and it just seems like it's still taking forever, even though it's not as annoying this time around. Bayley with the title, running with it for as long as she has. But the whole Sasha Banks Bayley thing, Joe, where are you standing with this right now, with the match and then the storyline building, underlying storyline?
Honestly, I'm not invested. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to that storyline, to be perfectly honest with you.
I can't argue.
I told you I haven't been watching religiously as much as I used to,
How dare you, fake Jesus? Damn it. All right, Nick.
I'm done with Bayley. She's had the title for way too long.
All right. Z.
Short and to the point. I like it.
Again, this is one of those things where the way they're doing the storyline this time around is the way they should have done it originally, and then people actually would have cared the first 30 times they turned on each other. They're actually giving it time to develop. Obviously, it's leading up to a one-on-one Sasha and Bayley. I'm going to guess SummerSlam. And then Sasha will take the belt. So, Nick, don't worry. She's losing the belt pretty fucking soon.
Thank fucking God.
Smitty.
I'm all right with Bayley retaining for right now.
Of course you are.
No, because honestly, I get that you want to try to get Lacey Evans over, but Lacey Evans is almost like Braun Strowman when it comes to getting title shots at this point.
Can we talk about how bad he is?
bro. No.
Like, what is like? This is now her 4th attempt at a women's championship now.
Okay.
Yeah, but Braun Strowman's a freaking cartoon, man. I wouldn't say Lacey's a cartoon.
Really, Sassy Southern Belle with the fake accent and everything.
That's
She's
not a
from
fake accent.
Carolina. That's not fake.
No, she throws on a thick ass fake accent during her act.
No, she
Whatever,
doesn't,
bro.
dude.
She
That's
is not anywhere near as cartoonish as Braun.
And the whole point of having her going into these title matches, you got to remember, Braun was going one-on-one with a lot of people. Lacey has been involved in a lot of multiple-person title matches. It's not like they're throwing her into a match one-on-one and then she loses again, or another match one-on-one and then she loses again, and another match one-on-one then she loses again. She's been in a lot of group matches where her side has not, or similar to this, has not come out on top. That doesn't make her look like Braun Strowman, who just can't get the job done until cancer comes along for Roman again.
All right, that was not funny. I should have laughed at that.
You said what?
I said I shouldn't have chuckled at that. Can't say.
But no, that's. I mean, it's not like cancer actually came back, but he's not fighting.
I get his weakened immune system.
Right, but it makes sense that he's out of this. But that's the reason why Braun was thrown into this, and they had to get the belt off of Goldberg because they weren't going to pay Goldberg any further when the company's like hemorrhaging money right now because of all of this stuff that's going down. You know, so you have to get it off. You have to put it on someone. We picked Braun. It's the only fucking reason he won that goddamn belt.
Yeah, they would have put that belt on anybody.
Yeah, they just happened to have Braun
There was a
available.
rumor that was going to be
They
Jeff
should have
Hardy.
let Goldberg keep. They should have let Goldberg keep it, especially after what I saw on Friday night. And Braun without a crowd is not entertaining and will not be your champion for very fucking long.
Braun has never been entertaining, at least in my eyes. Like without.
I'm with you. But I'm saying even without people, it's worse because then you can physically see how bad he is. That's why I messaged the group and I was like, if they're going to give him a lengthy title reign, he needs a mouthpiece because this is awful.
Yeah, Braun's never, ever been entertaining to me, ever, except for me laughing at him and not with him.
Yeah, I think Braun is.
He's just terrible to me. He's never entertained me, ever.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like when he first came out, and I'm talking when he first broke out from the Wyatt family, I thought Braun had a lot of potential, a lot of good build in him. And then they just kept it was one of those things where it was very similar to Roman, but in a different way. It just like Baron Corbin as a heel. They were trying to push Braun as this monster. And it was like coming to the point where as entertaining as some things may have seemed, it continued to go over the top. So it became a parody of itself. It wasn't anything that you could truly take seriously anymore. You just kind of laughed and joked about it, you know?
Yeah, random grappling hooks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was happening every other week. There was some stupid feat of strength that this guy is doing, and it's like, okay, sure, I'm kind of done with this now. It wasn't like random, like Austin with all of the vehicles, right? Think about it. All of those things, the cement truck, the beer truck, the Zamboni, these things, the fucking, Gravedigger or whatever, the monster truck where he ran over the Rock's car and everything like that. Those vehicle moves weren't every other week. You would see them maybe once or twice a year, and it would build for why you wanted to see it.
And they were organic.
I mean, it was actually real. He was actually driving a Zamboni down to the ring. There was actually cement being poured into a car. Braun is not really tipping over a fucking semi-truck, and it's just like, dude.
Wait. You're telling me he didn't really tip that semi-truck?
Wait, that didn't happen?
Sorry, guys.
fuck,
The Easter Bunny isn't real either.
Whoa, like kids!
That kid seems pretty woke to me, so.
They ruined Easter, you bastard.
What?
I'm Jewish. There is no Easter.
That dude never came back in my book.
Touche.
Nick's like, really glad I have this headphone in right now. Really glad I have this AirPod in right now.
No, I don't.
He actually doesn't. I can hear all of you.
All right.
It's fine.
So, Smitty, I'll start with you.
J-O-E.
Smitty, I'll start with you. Which night of WrestleMania was the better night to you? And what do you rate each night?
I put them on par. They were both like 3.5 to me.
Okay. Nick.
It's hard to argue that, honestly. I think I enjoyed night one a little more, so maybe 3.6, and then 3.5 for night two.
Okay. Z.
What is this, a 5-point scale?
Yeah, 5-point scale.
I give both 4s.
Okay. Joe.
Both 3s.
All right. When I was originally watching this, I thought they were both on the same level, but I went and watched both of them back, and I truly feel I got more entertainment out of night 2 than I did night 1 because I really enjoyed Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. I really enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse. The last man standing match was something that definitely pulled away from things, but everything else in between was good. So I give night 2 a 4, and I still stick with my 3 for night 1. So I think night 2 was better overall for me. Now, the next thing that we want to talk about is NXT. The next big thing that happened this week was the ending of the Johnny Gargano-Tommaso Ciampa feud in a match that was no disqualification, like no holds barred, things like that. They wrestled all around the Performance Center little area to the outside on top of a truck as well. Very much taken in a lot of different things out there. Nick, I'll start with you. Did you watch it? First off, has everyone watched NXT?
I
have not.
Oh,
Who
let
did
me.
not?
No.
Yeah, I just actually I had that match on right now in the background as we were talking, so I caught some of it, but not paying real close attention to it.
All right, so we'll
I
start
did
with
see
Z.
everything else up until that.
Okay, so Z.
But I saw the finish. All
right. Z, your thoughts on that match and the ending of this feud?
Okay. I 100% thought that the car was going to blow up at the end of the match, and it would have been like the perfect time for WWE to do it. Every other time they did it, it was not a good time to do it. This would have been perfect because Johnny's hobbling out to the car going, I win. And then, he gets in the car, starts up the car blows up, and Ciampa pops up and goes, no, I win. Anyway.
See, my problem with that is that's 2 callbacks to Benoit in 4 days.
Yeah, well.
Because the car blew up for Vince and then Benoit went nuts. So.
And then, 4 days before, there was a cable gym reference.
Yep.
Last man standing.
Right. I mean, well, they could finally do the cable gym reference because, Dark Side of the Ring exposed it for what it really was.
All right, so tell me about the match, Z.
The match was, what match were we talking about again? Oh, that one. Got it. That was a really good match. They took a lot of the cinematic things they used over the weekend for WrestleMania. They used in this match as well. The angles and the cuts during the match definitely. I mean, it made it feel realer and faker at the same time, if that makes sense. Like the angles were good, but they were good because it kind of looked fake because you didn't get like the back end of the angle. I don't know how to explain that, but they fought all over the building. It was way better than the last man standing match. It didn't seem like it took forever, and it took about 40 minutes. This one went about 45 minutes.
I thought it was like the whole last half of NXT. I thought it was an hour.
It was the whole last portion of it.
Well, you got to remember, like, commercials and shit. When I watched it straight through. It was like 44 minutes, I think.
Okay.
But
yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it today.
Yeah, it's really good. Nick, sorry, I'm about to spoil it.
No, it's fine.
When Candace comes in and kicks Johnny in the nuts, I was like, ooh, all right. I didn't even see it coming. Like, then all of a sudden, and this back to the camera angles in this thing. This is what makes it so good is you do all this hovering around Ciampa and you don't see anyone behind him, and then as he's going to do the finishing move, all you see is a foot in his dick, like nothing else, and then it pans out to Candice. So it was a good way to. I mean, she turned heel. They ended the feud. Now I'm not happy about the way they ended the feud. I'm sure Ciampa won't be either, and this will be like how he gets fired from NXT.
Smitty.
First thing I thought was, thank God somebody finally wore a fucking cup.
And then he put it in his face. There's a national pandemic, and he put his cup in Ciampa's face.
Yeah, he got an impromptu Bronco Buster. So that was the first thing I thought was like, oh wow, somebody fucking wore a cup.
An impromptu Bronco Buster. What are you talking about?
Dick to the face.
Okay.
But it was interesting. I feel like it was interesting way. Like I agree with the whole cinematic, the way it was shot like a cinematic match. I like the callbacks they did to lots of their finishes they've done with some of the previous stuff as well throughout the match. Johnny going over, I'm all right with Johnny going over as long as you keep like this is done is done. Like I think we're all kind of tired of this whole Johnny Gargano Ciampa thing anyway.
Nope.
No, me neither.
Yeah, here's why I'm not tired of it. Because it does seem like they've had a lot of matches, but the problem is their injuries have caused them to stop everything that was going on, an injury on either side of them. So the fact that this was built up as their final match and ended like it couldn't be their final match is something that I'm okay with, just for the simple fact that is while they have had a lot of matches, there's been enough time in between them because of injuries that it hasn't seemed like it's been shoved down our throats or too much over a short span of time. So that's why I'm okay with that. I love this match. I wish if we would have had a takeover, this match would have been the match of the weekend, as far as I'm concerned. Nothing better as wrestling-wise, nothing better storyline-wise, emotion-wise, everything like that. One of the major things I saw, I don't know if anyone has watched the one of the newest Untolds on the WWE Network. It's the untold story of the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels match. At WrestleMania. Gargano is featured a lot in that because he's the fan perspective, and then you have Shawn, Kurt, and Michael Cole from the business perspective of it. And Gargano talks about, he goes, one of the best things in wrestling that you can do in a match is callbacks because it rewards the loyal viewer and it brings the emotion out of the fans watching that match. And there was a moment when Gargano had the chair, when he was like, what about these injuries? Oh, your ACL? Boom! And he goes, oh, your neck? Boom! Oh, your shoulder? Boom! And it was because I watched that match first, and then I watched Untold last night. And I was like, wow, I totally see, because Gargano would say, you're looking at this and you're wondering it from a fan's perspective, but from a performer's perspective, once you get into it, you see the psychology behind it. And the psychology that they put into this match, going over and above and beyond, was something that was wonderful to watch as a fan who has watched this storyline progress. I can't give enough praise to Gargano and Ciampa, especially like you said, Z, with that ending, because it was Swerve City. And then Gargano going, oh, the trophy case is getting a little small, might have to build another one. And then he posted on Twitter, and he had his 4 NXT awards, his NXT title belts with the side plates. And then the cup was right there next to the NXT championship. And I was like, fucking bravo, Johnny Gargano, because he's still selling it, still going well on social media.
But,
really happy with it.
But I'm wondering, like, where they're going to go with this storyline, because now that you involve Candice might get fired from NXT because it was supposed to just be Johnny and Ciampa. Like, that was it. Like, just you two, blah, blah, blah. There were some things I did not like about that match, and it was more so when Triple H drops down the chair and he says, Drake's only here to, raise one of your hands or, decide who the winner is or whatever, right? And then he leaves, which basically means this match is non-sanctioned, no holds barred, all that shit. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Right.
So why is the ref yelling at them not to do stuff?
I will agree with that. I agree with that because I felt like it was one of those points where the ref was too involved.
Yes. I did. I mean, I see why they had him a little more involved because they did have him do some bumping. Yeah. But at the same time, like, throughout the whole match, he's like, no, hey, T, get down or don't do that. Like, no,
yeah,
dude.
His neck, we're going too far.
Right, yeah, you're not supposed to be, directing the match. You're supposed to just tell me when one of them is dead.
Right. Yep, agreed. Wholehearted. I 100% agree with you on that one. Next thing I want to talk about, we talked a lot about this last week. The coronavirus pandemic is obviously changing the way the wrestling world is working right now. Every state is now on a stay-home order. Every state in the United States. There's obviously things going on in other countries, but let's just talk about United States. Everything's on a stay-home order and things like that. But WWE released a statement. They said that they're still going to be doing live shows. They're still going to be doing live shows without a crowd for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, which changes a lot of what we're thinking. WWE put out a statement today that said, we believe it is now more important than ever to provide people with a diversion from these hard times. We are producing content on a closed set with only essential personnel in attendance, following appropriate guidelines while taking additional precautions to ensure the health and wellness of our performers and staff. As a brand that has been woven into the fabric of society, WWE and its superstars bring families together and deliver a sense of hope, determination, and perseverance. Now that sounds really good, but there were talents at SmackDown that weren't used. So I'm not sure why they're considered essential. WWE just had a performer who is now recovered from it, but had the coronavirus and had to come out of it and everything like that. They are fine now, them and their friend. No one's really talking about who it was.
Didn't Bobby Lashley have it?
Wasn't it The Miz?
There's a lot.
I heard Dana Brooke.
There's a lot of people talking about sicknesses.
All of them had it. One had it. Now they all have it.
Right. So, especially when you're bringing in people that aren't being used on television, how are you saying that you're only doing it on a closed set with essential personnel? It doesn't sound like some of these people are essential if you're not using them on television. Joe, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel about WWE going ahead with these live shows? And do you think that they're honestly doing it the right way, or they're just saying, or we're just getting a smoke and mirror thing and they're doing whatever they want?
I appreciate live TV over pre-tapes. Like a lot of Ring of Honor TV is taped weeks in advance, and you pretty much already know what's happening before you see it. NWA does a good job about keeping it under wraps, so I appreciate the aspect of things being live, and that's why they're saying they're doing it. But I think the real reason they're doing it is to, they've got a contract. They've got contracts with USA and Fox to produce live TV, and I don't think Vince wants to give them any reason to not pay them for producing live TV. So rather than producing a month's worth of TV over a weekend, he's flying people in and out every week, and people aren't happy about that.
Do you think that he's flying people in and out, or they're still doing this all on their own dime if they don't live in Florida?
Maybe I worded that wrong. He's making people fly in and out every week. Whether that's on his dime or theirs, I don't know.
All right. Z.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me.
About them continuing with shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I was hungry. Leave me alone. Whatever. I'm still out there working, so they're still out there working. Have at it.
But you're still out there working, like you said, by yourself. It's you. It's not you and other people that are like literally right on top of you sweating because you're doing a wrestling match.
I mean, I believe they're following the rules, because if they weren't, some whistleblower will come out and then they'll get in even more trouble. Like, you know what I mean?
Nick.
I don't know what the regulations are in the state of Florida as far as how many people you can have and what's essential, what's not.
It's
But I mean,
it's $4 per $1 billion. So as long as Vince pays them off, they're good.
Well, like here, I saw the other day, grocery stores, for instance, they can have 4 people for every 1,000 square feet. So
unless you go to Meijer.
Dude, I went to Meijer 2 days in a row, and it's fucking packed. They're just letting anybody in.
Yeah,
oh yeah, they're
Meijer's
not abiding to
everybody
that.
in.
Yeah, because I drove by Target first, and like they had a line, and I was like, no, fuck that, I ain't waiting in line. I went to Meijer instead.
That's what I did. That's exactly what I did.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you want to look at the grand scheme of things, are they essential? No, wrestling isn't essential. But I get their point that they're trying to, entertain people through this crazy time.
Dude,
and
it's some form of entertainment is essential, dude. It
can't
be consuming doom and gloom 24/7.
That's
only watch
be
so
my
much
next.
porn.
That was going to be my next point. If they're trying to provide this, that's a service to people. That's entertainment. There's nothing live right now. Everything is taped. Everything is a show, or it's the fucking news. So, I ain't mad at them for it.
Smitty.
Hey, I gotta pretty much just say, I like a thumbs up to Vince tenacity with the whole show must go on mentality. But it's like, and I agree with Nick. Like, there needs to be something, Joe. Like, there needs to be something live that's not the news. Do I feel like they're doing the right thing? On a personal note, yes. From a person that is pretty much helping his grandmother out during this time, no, because you're putting a lot of people at risk. But hey,
so do you guys think?
And they're going about it. So,
you guys think if this shit gets extended through May, that Money in the Bank will still go on and just be an empty crowd again?
Yep, that's exactly what it's going to be.
Because that's what, May 12th?
Yeah, Money in the Bank is going on no matter what. Until somebody tells them that they can't have a certain amount of people somewhere, every state's stay-at-home order is different. Florida seems to be the most fucked up because they're even talking about letting kids go to school sooner than anything because no one under 25 has died from this. And it's like, wait, what, Governor? A couple people from under 25 have died from this. He's like, no, I mean in Florida was his next day callback. It's like, sir, you can't just switch it up to make it fit your narrative. You're not.
You realize
anyway.
Florida's the toilet bowl of people in America.
So what?
Florida, I consider Florida the toilet bowl of people in America.
Yes. So I think that's why WWE is definitely getting away with this more, and possibly AEW, because we don't even know what the hell is going on with AEW with all of this, because we know that they have pre-taped a lot of things up until their next pay-per-view. So we'll see.
How come they're letting Vince and Tony Khan have wrestling, but they're not letting Dana White have fighting?
Oh, he's becoming Shang Tsung.
What's that?
Dana White's gonna be Shang Tsung. He's buying an island.
I heard that.
I would say it's probably because, at least in professional wrestling, the only blood we saw in WrestleMania. The only thing we saw in blood with WrestleMania was when Undertaker accidentally fucked his arm up. Right?
And who knows if that was even real or not?
No, it was totally real according to everyone. It was the second take that they took with it. And the second take, he busted his arm up. And so they said, okay, we're going with that because, one, it looked cool. And two, it wouldn't match the rest of the – we can't go with anything else. Yeah, that was weird to hear that match was shot from like 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Anyway, going back to this. So UFC obviously is a sport that quite often makes people bleed, like almost every match.
Yeah, so I was just saying WWE can control and AEW can control the blood better.
Right.
Well,
and so
except for Britt Baker's nose this Wednesday, but
accidents will happen, but in general they can
By
control
the way,
it
that was the best women's match that AEW ever put on.
Yeah, I
it
agree
really
with
was.
that.
And I love Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker in the ring.
Yeah. So I don't remember where I was going with this.
WWE, are they being responsible about continuing live shows?
Right. So in my opinion, in my honest opinion of someone who has had this virus, dealt with some of the harsher things, I feel like WWE is being a little lax with this, only because if you're trying to tell me that you have essential personnel, and then I find out, or it comes out that there are people who weren't even in matches that were talent brought in on SmackDown, I don't believe you anymore on this essential personnel stuff.
Well, were they okay? So were they pre-taping or no?
No, SmackDown was live.
Was live.
Yeah,
This week's
Raw is
Okay.
going to
SmackDown,
be
you
live.
mean?
Or 'cause
NXT is going to be
all I
live.
can think is, okay. All I can think of is if it was pre-taped, then it explains why there's extra personnel back there. But you never know. Like maybe there's an extra person for each match because if somebody gets hurt, you got to, especially if you're live, you got to switch it up on the fly, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying they're right, but I understand why they have more people than what they need because what if something happens?
If somebody gets hurt in a match, though, you're not substituting somebody into that match. That match is ending early. So then the other stuff that you have going on usually goes a little bit longer. That's just how they've always worked it. When you're bringing a bunch of talent in for TV and you're keeping them there in a regular environment, I get it. You need to have a much more stricter feel of what you're doing going into that show. That show needs to be decided a day before so you know which talent you're calling in and to keep going. The problem is Vince will switch shit up an hour before the show, hour into the show.
Or during the show, which is why they have extra people.
But and what I'm saying is then you're no longer doing things on a normal level. It's not normal. It's not essential. You're doing things and you're going, okay, maybe. No, you need to have a plan set in place.
But hear me out here. It's WWE. They have money. The talent they are using have all probably been tested on a weekly basis before they get called. Well, whatever, daily basis.
But that doesn't matter because this is a disease that you can have and have no symptoms. And
right, but the test would still say you have it. The test would still say you have it.
No,
right?
no, they're not testing. People are doing a temperature test. Come in that day. Here, let me take your temperature. Oh, it's normal.
No, see, I'm talking about them. It's WWE. They have money, so they should have them all tested, like 100% tested to know whether or not they have it, whether they're a carrier, et cetera, et cetera. Not just here, put this under your armpit for a minute. Let's see what it says.
Right, but as far as I know, that minute-long test, and that's the other problem. Why is WWE getting all of these tests then, if that's what they're doing, to test these people? But that's what I'm saying.
Because money. That's why.
But that's what's fucked up. If you're telling me that this is why that people who have these symptoms aren't getting tested, we're going to stay out of the politics thing. So therefore, it's now affecting the things that should be going the proper way that aren't going the proper way because they're performing. I don't think WWE needs to go on right now. I honestly, truly believe that this is a problem, that they are continuing something like, at least AEW is taped to like the middle of May. WWE is doing live shows, not using everybody involved. If they're doing the testing rather than the temperature test, they're taking away essential needs for people who can't get tested, and it's becoming a problem. This is not something that's necessary.
What if WWE was going to go pre-tape, but then Roman pulled out of WrestleMania, so they had to redo everything?
WWE taped everything after Roman pulled out.
Oh, no, I'm just okay. That's fine. Yeah. I'm just throwing out narratives. See what sticks.
Smitty, what was that noise?
He said after Roman pulled out, I go, yeah.
Oh, it was a Peter Griffin laugh. Okay, I get it.
Should have done a Cleveland laugh.
No. Oh, that's nasty. All right, let's get away from the WWE ongoing daily thing and go into something that they did a couple days ago that might lead to be one of the best things ever happen for a tag team. Not AEW. WWE finally released the Revival. The Revival are now free agents. We don't know where they're going to go. There's a lot of speculation, obviously, that they're going to go to AEW. But AEW just pulled in Brody Lee. They just pulled in Matt Hardy. The Revival. What?
Lance Archer.
I'm talking about, okay. So the Revival leaves. They change their name, but they're not really changing the name because they trademarked FTR for the longest time, right? So they can easily go in. We all know what FTR means. It means Forever the Revival for them. Fuck the Revival for being the elite. So they have an FTR Pro Wrestling T-store already. They've Dawson did trademark filings of No Flips, Just Fists, Say Yeah, Top Guys, Shatter Machine, and hashtag FTRKO. They've also pulled out to have their names changed, as Scott Dawson is now going to be Dax Harwood, and Dash Wilder is Cash Wheeler.
Those names are like porn names. It's not just me.
Yep, that's you.
But but they got released. They weren't done with their contract. They got released, so they still got to wait 90 days before they can go anywhere, right?
No, I read there's a no. There's not a no
compete clause for them.
That's why WWE in their wording when they released the statement, they said the immediate release.
Yeah. So here's the report that's on WrestlingInc.com. WWE announced yesterday the immediate release of the Revival. Their contracts were originally set to expire this month. Wilder was expected to be extended until mid-June due to missed time from previous injuries. Obviously, WWE decided to move on from the duo, who have been looking to leave the company for some time now. The tag team is not under a 90-day no-compete clause, so if the rumors are true about them heading to AEW, it could happen sooner than expected. As noted, Wilder filed to trademark the name Cash Wheeler last month. He also owns the following trademarks related to the team: No Flips, Just Fists, Say Yeah, Top Guys, Shatter Machine, FTRKO, and hashtag FTR. Cash Wheeler is now the name of his Twitter handle, so that looks to be his post-WWE name. Dawson also made those files, and the duo added a Farewell TR shirt to the FTR Pro Wrestling Tee store. Z, we'll start with you on this. What is your hope for this team? Where do you think they should go as what you think might be the best thing for them in a company that they go to?
Okay, so there's two places I want them to go. First, I want them to go to NWA because they are the old school tag team, varsity jackets, towels, like everything they do is old school tag team back to Tully and Arn. So I think they would do well in NWA. And it doesn't seem like NWA is signing people to like long-term contracts, so they could probably go do stuff there, get their new name or whatever out there, and then go to AEW. But I like to see them in either one because, again, with the old school feel they have as a tag team, they would fit right in NWA. And as far as AEW is heavy on their tag team division, so they would also succeed there as well.
Smitty.
See, I agree. I think NWA would be the best place for them. Cause like Z said, they're that old school type of team, and NWA is like a better fit than AEW at this time. But then also being affiliated with NWA, that we get some exposure on ROH as well. Because if I remember, NWA and ROH have a working relationship. So that would so I think that would be cool. It's like they'll get exposed with Ring of Honor, NWA, and then eventually make their way to AEW after they get themselves established outside of the WWE.
All right, this is Joe.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same. Like they could, they could work in NWA while working other places. Same thing in AEW, but eventually they got to go to AEW. There's already been so much storyline built up just on being the elite and everything, and the whole fuck the revival thing. That, I mean, people are clamoring for that, so they're eventually going to want to see Young Bucks versus Revival, and maybe Cody and Dustin versus Revival, stuff like that. So they eventually, I think it's a given that they kind of have to end up in AEW at some point.
All right, Nick.
I agree with what mostly everybody is saying. I like the idea of them going to NWA because, excuse me, they do have that old school vibe. I would like to see them go to AEW eventually, if not immediately, because of the fact that they have this thing going to Young Bucks. But, I'm a little worried with more and more of all this talent going over to AEW because the same issues they were running into WWE, they may not run into right now, but they could run into down the line with AEW where they have no use for them and they're just kind of hanging out because AEW is like, fuck it, get them and get them and get them and get them. And then you're just going to have them riding the bench. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it's concerning. So,
Right. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. I don't want them to go to AEW. While I think AEW's tag team division is stacked right now, that's the problem. AEW's tag team division is stacked right now. So AEW is going to fall into the way I truly believe that WWE falls into. You have all this talent, and eventually some people aren't going to be used, and it's going to be bad for that talent. I think when Smitty said it earlier, I fully agreed. NWA is probably, it is to me, the smartest place for them to go because, one, you can work other places. Two, it's a once every other couple months schedule, so you can go to all these other places. But I think if you really want to see something bridge the division between AEW and everything else, you put the Revival in Ring of Honor. Marty Scurll is already trying his best to do a combination of wrestling leagues. ROH has been involved with NWA. Marty Scurll has been said that he is trying to bring in stuff with AEW and New Japan and stuff so they can, everything outside of WWE can coexist. Obviously, hard feelings are still there. Yeah, obviously hard feelings are still kind of there with Ring of Honor and AEW and
Marty Scurll and Chris Jericho are trying to rebuild relationships between Ring of Honor and AEW and also AEW and New Japan because I think there's some hard feelings with Kenny and the way he left and stuff.
Right.
But
and
that's the real
problems that are going on.
To be like ambassadors for all three of those brands to work together.
And then, of course, that you have the if the Revival go to Ring of Honor or something like that, that's now major entities that a lot of people want to see combined. A lot of people want to see the Revival versus the Young Bucks to the point where that's a main event of a pay-per-view. And if you put the Revival on Ring of Honor, I honestly feel like all of these problems Ring of Honor is having financially and everything like that start to kind of go away because the Revival are a team that brings numbers, that brings eyes, that brings people to a show. And I honestly feel that the best thing for the wrestling business is Ring of Honor getting the Revival. You know what I'm saying?
I love to see Revival.
I almost thought Ring of Honor was on their way out, but I think that if and when we ever bounce back from this pandemic thing, I think Ring of Honor is going to be a player again with Scurll at the helm. And I've already, before this whole pandemic thing started, I've been reading some stuff how they were planning on making some big moves. So I hope that's still the case after business gets back to normal.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Because wrestling needs Ring of Honor, dude.
I agree. I fully agree. Because you need to see the way things are moving and brought around and everything like that. I guess that's it for us today, ladies and gentlemen. There's not anything else. Is just kind of elongating the show. We're basically at the last 10 minutes right here. So we're going to go ahead and say our goodbyes. Let me give you guys an order for how to say the goodbyes. It's going to be Joe, Z, Nick, Smitty, me. Okay? That's good when we do the goodbyes. Since right at the beginning, Nick and Smitty just said it at the exact same time. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to breakingdownthering.com. You can find all of our social medias. Check out our merch right there. Breakingdownthering.com takes you to our Facebook, our Twitter, our official merchandise page, our YouTube. Make sure you like, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe to all of that stuff because obviously we're still active as much as possible. Not sure exactly what the weeks ahead are going to be coming in for us, but if you go to breakingdownthering.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, you'll definitely be kept in the loop for sure. We are your ring crew.
Whole fucking Joe.
Z.
Nick the Spick.
And the human duplex machine, dump machine, Smitty.
The
Human duplex.
Duplex?
What? Two families live inside of you?
Well,
The
yeah,
duplex.
that's what he said. The human duplex machine. Nice. All right. And me, the ring crew champion, once again, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Thank you so much for watching. Shut up, Nick. I mean,
The all-immune one. The all-immune one, sir.
Right. The all-mighty one. Mikey, I don't know. I can't put all that together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. BreakingDownTheRing.com for all that stuff. And we are out. I wonder if we're actually out.